What's up guys, welcome to this video tutorial by the Coder. Okay, so in this series I'm going to be teaching you how to use Microsoft Visual Studio 2017. Now Microsoft Visual Studio 2017 is the latest edition in the Visual Studio family. The previous version from this was Visual Studio 2015, and there's a few new cool updates to this edition. Such as you can now create programs for Android, iOS, game development, things like that, all within Microsoft Visual Studio. So it's a really good piece of software and it's brilliant for any beginner programmer. Like I said, it's got lots of great features that wasn't in Visual Studio 2015, but we're going to be starting from scratch. We're going to show you how to use absolutely everything in this series. Today this tutorial is going to be more about creating basic forms, outputting text onto the Windows form, things like that. So to get started, we're going to create a new project. Now to do this, we go to File, click on New, select Project, and you see a new project dialog pop up. And on the left hand side, we've got all the templates that are installed on the Visual Studio. You can customize the templates that get installed when you install the program. It is a web-based installer, so it downloads them as you need them. Now, when I downloaded this earlier on today, I selected everything, just in case we need anything for future tutorials and things like that. And the total installation file came to 57 gigabytes, so it is a large file if you select everything. So do be warned about that. It could take up a lot of space and a lot of bandwidth to download this file. The good thing is Visual Studio 2017 is completely free to download. I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way. I haven't read up on it yet, but the release candidate, so sort of like a beta version, the release candidate is completely free to use, and it's downloadable directly through the Microsoft website. I will provide a link down in the description to the page. But for now we're just going to create a basic application. So as you can see on the left hand side, we've got the different templates. We've got Visual C#, Visual Basic, C++, F#, SQL Server, Azure Data Lake, JavaScript, TypeScript, game, other type, other project types, and dependency validation. For now we're going to start by clicking on Visual C#. And Visual C# is a fantastic starting point for anyone who wants to get into programming. It's super easy to learn and it's very flexible in the things that you can do. You can create console applications, Windows applications, games, all sorts of stuff with this. And in Visual Studio 2017, you can now also create Android and iOS applications using C# as well, which is a brilliant addition. You can also create ASP.NET web applications, as you can see just in the bottom down here. Now an ASP web application is just basically a website created with C# instead of the standard HTML and PHP, things like that. ASP.NET was created by Microsoft, and it runs on Windows machines. You can get it for Linux, but we're not going to be getting into that at the minute because I don't know enough about ASP programming. Like I said, for now we're just going to start with a Windows Classic Desktop. Now as you can see here, we've got two different things here. We've got Windows Universal and we've got Windows Classic Desktop. Now the difference I believe between these is the Windows Universal I think was brought out in Windows 8, and it's things like Microsoft Edge and things like that, just basic Windows apps. So you've got this kind of a layout. Most of them run on HTML5 I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the Windows Classic Desktop, you can create console apps, Windows services, and basic Windows forms. Windows forms are things such as Notepad. You see here you've got like a text box, a basic form, things like that. This is the kind of thing that we're going to be learning in these starter episodes. So we select Windows Form app using the .NET Framework, and we're going to use .NET Framework 4.5 because most computers have got 4.5 installed. 4.62, not a lot of computers have got this installed because it's relatively new, so we're going to go with 4.5 for now for most compatibility. So we select Windows Forms app and we choose the name of the project. Now we can call this whatever we want for the purposes of this video. We're just going to name it YouTube tutorial, and we're going to stick with this one project throughout this series. So YouTube tutorial, and click on OK. And it may take a while to initialize. It does need to create the project, but as you can see, you get started and you're presented with this layout. Now the first time you run this software, you will be presented with a layout something like this, where you've got nothing on the left hand side here. You've got a toolbox, a server explorer and data sources, and we just want to click on toolbox and then pin this onto the left hand side. So click on the auto hide button and that will pin it. As you see, the pin's gone down. It's pinned that to the left hand side and that locks it into place, so we don't have to keep clicking on the left here to show it. And the first thing we're going to want to do is resize the form, because the basic size of this form is very, very tiny. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just resize the form, so as we can set it to a size that suits us. And once we've done that, as you can see on the right hand side, we've got some properties down here. If we just click on this AZ and the down arrow, we can arrange these by name. Now this will make it easier for us to find the property that we want for the particular form control. And as you can see, it's automatically focused on the text property, and we can change this text to whatever we want, and whatever we change this to will show up in the top left hand corner here. So again, for the purpose of the video, we're just going to change the text to YouTube tutorial. And as you can see here, there's a default icon. There's no real icon here, and if we load up the app, it shows a crappy little icon. We're going to want to customize that. So to do that, we're going to download an icon from the web, and we're going to go to a site called iconspedia.com, which is a free website where you can download a lot of resources such as icons, GIF images, PNG images, that sort of thing. I will provide a link down in the description. So iconspedia.com, and on the left hand side we've got a search box. We're just going to search for what we want. We're going to search for YouTube. I'm just going to download the first icon that we come across. It doesn't really matter what we download, this is just for the purpose of making it look pretty. So we click on that icon and download the .ico file. So we'll save that. And once you've got the icon saved to your computer, we're going to go back to Visual Studio, and we're going to go up on the Form 1 properties, click on the icon property and click the little browse button. I'm just going to browse and find the location of the icon. And as you can see, you've got some size options there. You can't change those in the icon for the main form, because that's pretty standard. And next we're going to change the icon for the executable file. Now if we just press start there to debug this file, this will build the executable, and then just close it straight away. And then if we go into the project files, you'll see that there's no icon, it's just a standard icon on the executable file there. So we're going to go to the properties and change that so as we show up the same icon. So we right click on the main solution, click properties, and you see the resources option here, and you see the icon, default icon. We're going to browse for a new icon, go to the location of the icon and just select that, and then just press Control and S to save, and click start again. That's going to rebuild the file, and now as you can see, it's got the icon there in the executable file, so it looks a bit more professional. We're not going to change any more of the properties on that for now. We're just going to start by building a basic application. So once you've got your icon and your title and the size of your form set, we can start adding some controls to the Windows form. So as you can see on the left hand side, you've got your toolbox. Now usually that will be located like this, with the toolbox hidden on the right. Just click on toolbox there and just pin it there onto the left hand side. So We're going to start off by adding a menu first of all. So we'll go to menu and toolbars, and just drag over the menu strip, and that will add a menu in the top of the form. So we're just going to add a couple of menu items here. Okay, now if we debug this again, you'll see that there's now a menu on here with some options. It's just very basic for now, it doesn't do anything, none of the buttons work so far, but we're going to go ahead and add some more controls. Now, a context menu strip is for when you right click on things. So for example, if I go into Notepad and right click on the text area, you'll see a context menu here. It brings up a load of options. So I'm going to show you how to add one of them. So if we click on, oops, I'll just delete that so I can show you how to add it again. So we drag the context menu strip over to here, and then as you can see you can add items just like in the normal menu strip. So let's just add a few basic controls, such as for example cut, copy, paste. And we'll go select all as well. So now if we debug it and then right click, you'll notice nothing shows up. This is because we haven't assigned the context menu to anything yet. We're going to do that a little bit later on, but for now we've got the context menu. We'll add a status strip in the bottom, and then add a status label. Click on the tool strip status label and just change the text of that, and we'll just call it YouTube tutorial ready. Debug again, we'll take a look at that. We've got a nice status strip there. We can change that text to whatever we want. For example, if we click on the file menu, click on the events, and double click on the click event, and we'll type in tool strip status label 1, which is the name of this tool strip. As you can see here, the name of this item is tool strip status label 1. So we'll type tool strip status label 1 dot text. So we're taking the text property and we're going to set it as menu file option clicked. Debug, and now if we click on the menu file option clicked, so it changes the text of that. We've added, what we've done there is we've added an event. So when a certain event occurs, we can run a certain piece of code. In this case, when we click on the file menu, we change the text of the status strip label. Okay, now you may notice that I created a submenu under file called exit. If we double click on that, we can make this button work. So all we type in to make the application close is application.exit, and then open and close brackets and then a semicolon to close the code. Debug again, click file, click exit, and that will exit the program. Now there's two different ways to do this. You can use either application.exit or you can use this dot close. Now there is a difference between these two, even though it looks exactly the same. That will still close that program. But if this isn't the primary form, for example, if we've got a subform and we've got a subform loaded, and you use this dot close, it will only close the subform. If you use application.exit, it will close the entire application. So there are differences between those two. We're going to use application.exit because we're on the main form there. Okay. Next, we're going to want to add some basic controls to the program. So we're going to add some forms to start with, some text boxes and things like that. So all Windows forms. First of all, we want to label so we know what the text box relates to. So we can just drag that to anywhere we want, and everything's drag and drop on Visual Studio. It's pretty easy. Just click on the properties, and we can change this text label to whatever we want. So we're going to call this output text. So we're gonna label that says output text, and then we're going to add a text box. So again, drag and drop, pretty simple. Drag it to the size we want it, and we've got a few options here. We can set this to multi-line if we want. For example, if we set it to multi-line and set it like that, then we can add multiple lines to it. We're not going to do that for now. We're just going to set it as a basic file, a basic form field. So it's a single line text box, and we're going to change the name of this so we know what it is. So the name of this is also, for example, toolstrip label 1 is the name of the toolstrip label. So when we're trying to use this control, we would call it toolstrip label 1. With this, we're going to call it output text field. Okay, so next we're going to want to add a button. So we're going to resize this button, and we're going to change the name of that to submit button, and we're going to change the text of it to print text. We're going to add another button right next to it, and we're going to want to copy the size of this button so it looks a bit more uniform. So we go to the properties on the button we want the size for, and just see the size option. We're going to copy that, then we're going to click on the other one and paste in the size so it's the same size, and then we're just going to put that next to it. We'll put that there so it looks a bit smarter. And as you can see, as we drag in, you can see the lines locking onto each other. This is to keep things in line. You see the pink line represents text, so the text on this button is directly in line with the text on this button when that line goes pink. Okay, so we've named this one submit button. We're actually going to rename this to print text button, and we're going to name this one print message button. So we've got two buttons here. We're going to change this to print to message. Now we've got two fields here, and we're going to add another label. Label 2, and we're going to set the visible property on this to false, and I'll show you why in a minute. So label 2, and we're going to remove the text from that so you can't see it, and then we're going to go on, we're going to double click on the print text button. So we double click on the print text button, and we're going to use what's called an if statement here. Now an if statement basically checks to see if one variable matches a certain, if one thing matches a certain thing. I can't really explain it. If it does, then it will do a certain thing, and if it doesn't, then it will do another thing, or it won't do anything. So we're going to use an if statement. So we type in if, and then we get the name of the text field, which is output text field. So if output text field dot text. So if the output text field text, and we want it to find out whether it matches an empty text field. So if output text field dot text double equals, and it has to be a double equals because we're using an exact, so double equals for exact. So if output text field dot text double equals, and then nothing inside the quote. So if it equals nothing, if it's blank, and we open the curly brackets. So if this output text field text is blank, it will run code inside the curly brackets, and if it doesn't, then we want it to run some more code. So else, and then just press enter, and this usually also completes, but it's usually if parameter equals or whatever, open curly bracket, run the code, close curly bracket, else, open curly bracket, run more code, close curly bracket. So if it's blank, then we don't want it to do anything. So we're just going to add a little comment here. Now a comment is just something that helps the programmer to understand the code at a later date. Anything that we write after 2 forward slashes won't be outputted or run by the program. So do nothing. So we just know that that's going to do nothing, and that's just for ourselves. It's not for any coding reasons or anything like that. You don't have to put it, you can just leave it blank. You can just leave it blank like that, or you can choose to add a comment. We're going to use a comment there. So if output text field is blank, then we don't want to do anything, but if it's not blank, then we want to grab this label. So we find this label here, and we're going to name this printed text. So we'll set printed text dot text. So we're going to set the property of the printed text, the text property of the printed text label to whoops, it's not text box 1, it's output text field dot text. Okay, so whoops, we need to convert this to a string. So if the output text field is blank, we don't do nothing. If it's not blank, then we want to print that out onto the label that we just created there. And then because that label is set to invisible, we want to set it to visible. So we're going to type printed text dot visible equals true. Okay. We'll just run this code just to show you what happens. And as you can see, print to message doesn't work. We haven't added any code into there yet. Print to text, because there's no code, because there's no text in this text box, it's not going to do anything. So type hello world in that text, click print text, and as you can see, it's outputted on the screen there, and it's printed exactly as it's printed on this text box. And that's a basic hello world application. So next what we're going to do is we're going to make it print to a message box. I'm just going to align these up. That's better. So I'll just check that again because I'm very particular. This isn't necessary. They're directly aligned. That's fine. Okay. So next we're going to want it to print to a message. So again, we're going to do the same. We're going to use an if statement, and we can actually just copy and paste this. So just copy and paste this, and then we're just going to want to change the code in this part. a dialog, but you can't minimise the application, you can't close the application, maximise the application. And then if you want to make sure that your users don't change the size of the form, we're going to take the size group style off by clicking hide. Whoops. We'll leave that as normal. And we're going to set the form border style to fixed dialog. Click start. And as you can see, we can't resize that at all. I'm trying to drag that, it won't let me. We can also change this to fixed single. So we'll click on there. And change the form border style to fixed single. You've also got fixed 3D as well, which doesn't really look very good. It looks like it's a bit cheap and tacky. So we're going to change it to fixed single, and that will look exactly like a dialog would. So as you can see now, like I say, there's no size group style. You can't resize this at all. It's set in the size that you set it as, and it's pretty cool. So we'll close that. So there's quite a few things that you can do on here. We can add various different forms and things like that. I'll show you a checkbox. So we'll change the text of this checkbox to check me to see if I work. We'll change the name of this to basic checkbox. And like I said, you can rename these to anything you want as long as you remember what they are for when you go to work with them. So we'll add that, and then we'll add a button. And we'll change the text to, whoops, check my checkbox. Let's go with that. That'll work. And we want to sound like it's important, so we'll add an exclamation mark. Check my checkbox. Now, let's run this again. And if we click on that, you'll see it works just like a normal checkbox. But the button doesn't do anything. Again, haven't done any code in this, but if we double click on this button, we can run another if statement to check whether the checkbox is checked or not. This is all part of form validation. We can check see if the checkbox is checked or not, and then just output the result onto the screen. So if what if we named this checkbox basic checkbox? This is why it's important to remember the names. So if the basic checkbox dot checked is true, and if it's not, then we run some more code. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to set this status toolstrip status label to output a message on the screen. So if the basic checkbox is checked, then toolstrip status label 1 dot text equals the checkbox is checked. And if it's not, then toolstrip status label 1.text equals the checkbox is not checked. And as I always do, forgot to use a semicolon. So we'll run that now. and we click on check my checkbox. The checkbox is not checked, and we check the checkbox and then click check my checkbox. The checkbox is checked. So that's how you check to see if a checkbox is checked. That's a bit of a mouthful, it's a bit of a tongue twister, but that's how checkboxes work. It's a pretty standard form, just like any other programming language such as PHP or anything like that. It's either checked or it's not, so it can only return one of two values, a 0 or a 1. 1 is on, 0 is off. So that's how we run that. So that's another part of a basic form. There are a lot of other forms and things like that. Now we can group all of this together if we want to make it look a bit more professional. So we add a group box for that. Now as you can see, because we've added the group box afterwards, that has covered up all the rest of the items. So we right click on it and click send to back, and that will send it to the back of the form, so as we can see all the other controls after we see this group box. Now the group box, we're going to change the text. And we're going to call it basic form controls. So I think you can see the theme that this first tutorial's taking. We should just show you basically how Visual Studio works with forms and things like that. Now, no matter what application you have, you're going to have a form somewhere along the line, whether it's a registration form, whether it's configuration forms, something like that. Unless it's a basic application where you just click on one button, even then it's going to have a form because it's going to have a button. There are going to be forms on every single Windows application. It doesn't matter what it is, it's going to have a form somewhere. So this is an important part of creating programs in Windows applications. We're going to resize this and make it a little bit bigger, just so we can show a couple more things before we end this video. Next, we've got a combo box. We're actually going to put this here in the middle, and we'll resize that to there. Now a combo box works a little bit different. We need to edit items. We can use data bound items. Now what these are, now what this is if for example we was using a database, which we're going to get into in another episode, then we could bound those data items and things like that. But for now we're just going to edit the collection and add some items to this. So we're going to add a few different items to this. Let's say for example we've got a product list. So Apple iPhone 5, Apple iPhone 5S, Apple iPhone 6, 6S, 7, 7S. Alright, so click OK on that. And as you can see, this form field is blank. We're going to change the text of this. What is your favourite iPhone? Now we need to resize this because it's not giving us all of the text. It's not outputting all of the text. So we need to resize this. So what is your favourite iPhone? And then we should have some menu items in here. And then you can select all the things you want. Now if you notice, when you first create the combo box, you can change the text of this manually. Now if you don't want to allow this, then we go, where are we? Whoops. We'll go to drop down list, click on start, and then as you can see we can't change the we don't see any text there, but we can select the items there. Now for now we're going to keep this as a drop down, As you saw when I accidentally clicked there, when I misclicked a little bit, you can also add it as a simple list where you can select it yourself from a list here. And as you can see, you can only select one item. I'm holding control at the minute and it's not selecting multiple items. So click on that again, and there should be a multi-select here somewhere. Okay, I can't seem to find that, but there is a multi-select here somewhere where you can select multiple items. We'll skip that for now because I can't find it. They may have removed it in this version of Visual Studio. I can't seem to find it. It is quite late now. It's like 1:45, so I might just be missing it. But as I said, Visual Studio was released today, so I may have removed that in this version. But never mind about that for now. We're going to change this back to standard. Back to a standard combo box. Whoops. Okay, I'm definitely tired now. That's better. I'm going to change the text there to what is your favourite iPhone? And then we're going to add another button here. And we're going to align it to here. And we're actually going to change it to the same size as this one. So like we did earlier with the size, we just copy and paste that into there. And then we're just going to move it to there. And we'll just call this one submit. And you can't have any spaces in the name of the control, so we'll just call that submit. Now we're going to use some different if statements here. So we're going to use if and then the name of this. So combo box 1, we're going to change that to favourite iPhone combo. So if the favourite iPhone combo.text equals nothing, then we're going to output a message box. So we're going to show a message box that says, please select your favourite iPhone from the drop down list above, thanks. So if there's nothing in the text box, then it's going to tell us to select that. However, if there is something in the text box, so if the text box contains the following text, so if the favourite iPhone combo text is what is your favourite iPhone, then we're going to output this same message again because it means that they haven't selected an option from the drop down list. So we're going to output that again, and if it isn't blank and if it isn't blank and it's not, the text isn't what is your favourite iPhone, then we're going to output some more text. So we're going to output what is actually what has actually been selected. So message box.show So your favourite iPhone is, then a space, plus favourite iPhone combo.text.toString. But we're going to add something after this. So we're going to add the semicolon there because we keep forgetting it. So we're going to add something after this as well. So we're going to add, after the favourite iPhone combo.text.toString, we're going to add another plus symbol to add that together. Then we're going to open some more quotes, and then we're just going to add a question mark. So if the favourite iPhone combo text is blank, then we output this message. If the favourite iPhone combo text is what is your favourite iPhone, which is the default text when you load the application, then we output the same message because I haven't selected nothing from the drop down. But if it isn't any of those two above conditions, then they must have selected something or typed something in, so we output the results of the screen. Start. So what is your favourite iPhone? Submit. Please select your favourite iPhone from the drop down list above. Thanks. So we haven't selected nothing, so he's giving us that message. Again, if we delete that, submit, please select your favourite iPhone from the drop down list above. Whereas if we select one, okay, so your favourite iPhone is Apple iPhone 6s. So as you can see, that works, and it finds out what you've selected from the drop down list. So that's another form that you can use. Okay, let's find something else to do. Okay, we're going to find one more thing to do, and then we're going to end it for today because the video is running on a little bit. Let's add a radio button. So a radio button, as you'll see on many websites, you'll see a button that says something like I agree to the terms and conditions set out above, or something like that. So we'll just call it I am happy with this application that I have made. We'll change the name of this to Am I Happy radio button. So for this one, we are going to create an event handler called checked changed. So whenever this changes, so whenever you click on it, it will run some code. So we're going to go for if am I happy radio button dot checked, or is it selected? No, it's checked. Dot checked equals true. Then we run some code. Else, and then we run some more code. So if the radio button is checked, then we run this code. Message box.show. Great. I'm glad we had fun together. So that's going to print out that message if we're happy with it, and if not, message box.show. Oh no, try it again and don't give up until you're happy. And we'll run that. So we see this button here. Great, I'm glad we had fun together. So because that's checked, it's outputted the first part of the if statement. and unfortunately we can't uncheck it because we haven't got another one, but we're going to create another one there. And I actually forgot about that, so my bad. So we're going to create another radio button just below it, and we'll just align that. And what we need to do with this is set that as the same. Whoops. Sorry, not the same. Am I happy radio button 2, and change the text of this to that. Click start. So yes, I'm happy. No, I'm not happy. Oh no, try again and don't give up until you're happy. So that's pretty cool. We've got some radio buttons, we've got a checkbox, we've got a drop down menu, pretty cool, and we've got some basic text and buttons. So I am going to end it here for this first episode. I'm going to start creating some more of these videos, helping you to get used to Visual Studio 2017. It was only released today, so hopefully I'm the first person to put up a tutorial with the new Windows Visual Studio 2017. But for now, I hope this video helped. I hope it helps you to learn the basics of programming. And I'm not the best programmer in the world. I haven't programmed now for around about a year and a half. But hopefully this helps you to learn at least the basics. I will create another video where I'll get more into depth on forms and form validation, things like that, and ways that we can submit these forms and actually make proper use of them. But until next time, just keep practicing, search Google and things like that for some code examples. Have fun, because programming is all about fun. So until next time, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, follow, comment and rate, give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and drop me a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer. I don't always get time because I've got a family, but I will do my best to answer any questions or try and help as much as I can. Alright, until next time guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.